Failure means different things to different people. For somebody, it might mean losing a job. For somebody else, it might mean living a life of regrets. For somebody else, failure might mean something more personal. However, no matter what failure means to us, failure always hurts. But we as a society need to learn to deal with failure much better. And for this purpose, to normalize failure, we, the team of News 24 and I, Mannsi Agrawal, have come up with this show called If I Had Not Failed, where we talk about and dissect the stories of struggles and failures of some of the most successful people in the country. Today's guest is Nepal's first male gynecologist. He's not just a doctor with magic in his hands, he's also somebody that people look up to with a lot of reverence, for he conducted Nepal's first successful IVF and has since then brought joy to many families. To me, however, one of his other very important contributions is the fact that he's been extremely vocal about women's voices and women's choices, and he has fought a long battle to legalize abortion in the country. To top all of this, he has a creative soul, being a singer, songwriter, and somebody who's creatively pursued many different endeavors. I can't wait to hear his stories of struggle, and I can't wait to hear what struggle means to a medical professional. He is none other than Dr. Bhola Rijal. Namaste, doctor. Thank you so much for coming here. It really means a lot to us that you actually decided to be here and to share your story, because not just me, but many people want to listen to you. When we think of you, we think of somebody who's achieved it all, who's done it all, and somebody who's really considered to be very respected in our society. Doctor, here's my question to you. Do you think you have ever failed?
First, let me thank you for inviting me to this program, Mannsi. This is my privilege also. The first question itself is very difficult. Yes, I have failed many times in my life. And that is the reason maybe I am here today. Let me narrate some story about teaching hospital where I was utterly failure, because I was their assistant dean in 2044 Nepalese Sambat, and the then dean, Professor Madan Prasad Upadhyay, he launched non-practicing system without our any consultations, either inside in the office or with any other faculties. So we fought till we could, but that time was panchayat system and we were very much threatened by the name of panchayat, and finally we 23 doctors from teaching hospital resigned. Many of them, senior doctors, they left this country, and now they are either in UK, America, Australia, many other places of the world. And few of us are here. Dr. UN Pathak, Dr. N.K., everybody, and Dr. Narsing Shakya, Dr. Madhu Ghimire, so Dr. Sanjeev Dhungel, many of us, we decided to stay in Nepal. The result of this failure, I considered that was the most good for me for the turning point, because I left teaching hospital when I was director during our revolutionary movement. I finished that job and we did whatever we could do, and we started a private sector hospital in Nepal, Om Hospital. That was 2046. Now, after I started that hospital, now you can see there are many medical colleges, there are many other hospitals, private hospitals. Now, I could say, I don't want to take all the responsibilities of starting medical colleges and private sectors in Nepal, and I'm not the only person to start it, because that time Dr. Vaidya and Baskota, they had started B&B hospital. Dr. Anjani Kumar Sharma had Annapurna, but that was the most turning point of my life. If I had not done that decision, maybe I would have done other things, whatever is possible. So now, whatever you see in Nepal about the medical education and medical services in Nepal, that was really very good, and we started and we completed our responsibilities.
It's amazing, doctor, to hear this story, because it seems like a long struggle and a long distance that you all have come all these ways. But when that failure happened, in that moment that you thought you were failing, in that moment when you had to give up so many things that you had worked so hard for, how did that feel to you?
I was one of the doctors in teaching hospital who happened to be liked by everybody. I was very young, and I used to opt any difficult job, and I completed that one. But when I felt I'm completely failure in my decision, and I cannot continue this job anymore, because that time I told you panchayat system, and because of some other pressure also, I was completely failure. And the most tragic part of my life is the reason when I decided to leave for any reason, that still, because that was practicing and non-practicing conflict, and still there is, people are taking non-practicing bhatta, and they are getting all those benefits, whatever they had to take, they were taking, they were getting it. Still they are getting that one, and they are practicing. So I would have been very happy and luckiest person if they have removed that non-practicing system. Now I request that any other place also, wherever they start non-practicing, they should think twice whether they can really implement this thing with the limited health manpower in this country and limited other facilities.
Right. Doctor, when you failed, was your first thought, oh my God, I've failed? Or was your first thought, let me see what I can make out of this? Let me see, because I'm very skilled. I am somebody who has a certain skill that can help other people in their lives. Did you think, oh my God, now my skill is going to be wasted? Or were you thinking, what can I do next so that I can use my skill to impact and to touch more lives?
Shall I tell you one thing?
Yes.
When I decided to opt for gynecology in my post-graduation, that was also one of the very, very difficult day what I had to decide. I am the first male gynecologist of this country, and nobody liked me to opt that subject, especially from my family, except my wife, because that has a long story, what the reason I have chosen to be a gynecology. So I consider I am completely failed in teaching hospital service, because we had a very nice family, we had very nice department. Dr. Sanumayad Ali and myself, we too were senior persons there to guide everybody. And our department was the best department in teaching hospital, and I had to leave that one. I never wanted that one, but I had no any other option, because if I had not left teaching hospital, still I would have fought with everybody, especially the government and TU office, university and other things, which I never wanted that one. So I considered that I'm completely failure, but that failure made me very courageous to start new responsibilities, because I started home hospital, and that time we used to operate one case completely with 7,000 rupees in one cabin, including cabin charges. Can you imagine? Which was even lower than teaching hospital price. So that was my motive, and still home hospital is one of the, although I don't work there nowadays, but home hospital is still one of the cheapest and very good hospital in the country.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Doctor, when you were establishing home hospital, what were the struggles that came along the path? Because it can't be easy to do something that's so big, that has such an impact, and that's not easy to do. It's a very big project. What were the struggles that came?
I had consulted many other doctors. Dr. Govinda Sharma, now he is no more. Dr. Madhu Ghimire, Dr. Dhurva Sharma Mudbari. These were the three persons first to pioneer and to help me to establish home hospital. Later on, Dr. Anand Prasad Shrestha, Dr. Guru Dhakal, and Dr. UN Pathak, and they helped me a lot. Other than medical persons, we had many other also who helped us, but they couldn't give us support for a long time. Because when we started our new project, we had a concept of making new hospital in Chawel. We are in Kamal Pokhari first, with a rented house with only 16 beds. So now when we decided to make one really good hospital, home hospital, that time many of our doctors and other non-doctors who were with us since a long time, they left us, and we had really very good problem with monetary and other fact also, because after all I was not a businessman. I'm still a technocrat. I'm a gynecologist, and I had to manage so critically that time that I really felt very difficult, and that time I had to take help of many of our relatives and other friends.
Doctor, when you were struggling to handle this new project, did you ever feel that, oh my God, I studied medical, maybe what I've taken up, the project, is not something that I'm capable of handling? Maybe somebody from a business background, maybe if I had support of somebody else who was from a business background rather than from like a medical background, that would be easier for me. Did you think you were missing like a partner, somebody who could collaborate with you?
That is the reason that now he's no more. Our chairperson that time, Prakash Shrestha, Jagdish Ghimire, renowned author, Antarman Ko Katha, yeah, and they and other friends also, they really helped us in those days, but they were also not very methodical in the hospital practice and other things. And we, few persons, like I told you, Dr. Mudbari, Dr. Anand, myself, and Dr. Hari Kishore later on, when we started working on the project, that time Bank of Kathmandu, they really helped us.
Right. Doctor, how important do you think is a support system? How important is it to have your family's support and your immediate social group support when you are struggling and you're in a difficult phase of your career, of your profession?
You really need, I tell you, family support, because I have the family which is really enthusiastic to develop the education system in Nepal. That is the reason our Rijal family, if you find anybody like pioneer Dr. Jishnu Prasad Rijal, pioneer Mahaprasad Rijal, who was the principal, Mr. Kali Prasad Rijal. You have heard all these names in our family. So, and on top of everybody, my father himself was a very good poet, and my wife, I like to especially name the Bhola Rijal, that without her support in each and every step of my life, I was married at the age of 15, you know that, and my wife was 12. Can you imagine?
Right.
So, since those days, she has been helping me outright in all and she assisted me even in my clinic after I became a gynecologist. Okay, so family support, I tell you, to encourage you, to give you the moral support is very important. Then you have the financial support. That time we had no money. We were really shortage of money. But Mr. Kafle, now he is no more. He was from Bachat Sansthan, and he gave us the idea, because I operated his wife. Then he knew me very well, and he took us to Bank of Kathmandu, and they supported us. And that is the reason that today Om Hospital, in 2054, we started our construction and we completed in 2058. And that was the first hospital, I tell you, inaugurated by King Gyanendra.
Absolutely, Doctor. It's such an amazing thing, because when I listen to you, I can actually sort of see the history of, you know, this establishment of this sector actually playing out in front of my eyes. And that seems not a small task at all. But another one very important accomplishment of your life was that you've been extremely vocal about the right of women to go for legal abortions. Was that a struggle?
That was not only a struggle. That was one of the good challenge for my life also, because many of the vocalists, they raised the voice that why I am raising this point, and some of them even wrote in the paper that why not to hang Dr. Rijal, because he is talking against the constitution of Nepal. Because when I told that I have already done more than 30,000 abortions during my training period in Bangladesh, because that was the project, and we used to go from one village to another village to give the training. So when I came to Nepal, I told this thing in the newspaper and media also. Then they told me that no, you have no right to abort any, it is illegal. Then I told, yes, it is illegal in Nepal, but I cannot just keep myself quiet seeing that somebody is dying. So I have done many abortions in Nepal also to save the life of the mother. Then Dr. Aruna Upreti, she is the first lady, she came up and she told that, yes, Dr. Rijal, whatever he is doing for the nation. Yeah, and later on, Sapna Malla, she also raised the voice, and Sunil Bhandari, he took up the matter and took to the National Assembly. And finally, after 13 years of my first interview, that legalization of abortion was adopted in the legal form. And now we are enjoying that one. But still I am not very happy, because they are changing the age of a fetus for the abortion up to 28 weeks, which is not right, because we have saved the baby at 27 weeks. So how you can do abortion up to 28 weeks? And we had given the limit up to 20 weeks only, which is still I am raising the voice that we should not go beyond that.
Right. But doctor, this entire struggle for 13 years, where you were speaking and there were threats and people were perceiving you negatively, what inspired you at that point to still go on, to have that strength inside you? What made you believe in the cause so much?
You know, in my dictionary, there is no any word of impossible. That is the thing which encouraged me very much. When I was working in Prasutigriha, that was in 1983, 2039, 40. That time I was deputed from teaching hospital to Prasutigriha. When I saw one lady dying in the gate, I took her from the gate to the OT and operated on her and saved, because she had illegal abortions and it was septic abortion, yeah, and we could save that baby. Sorry, we could save that mother. So what I thought, if the same thing goes, if we cannot change the unsafe abortion to the safe abortion, the reason was and the purpose was to stop all unsafe abortions, yeah, and it converted to the safe abortion by making some rules and regulations, laws and other things. So I raised the voice. I was really determined that till we change this process of abortion, we can never reduce our maternal mortality. That is the reason that I was never disheartened by any statement or any round table conference, because you know, our ethnic group, our society, and many other group, I had to attend those meeting, and I was really very much harassed by so many people. But I was never, I told, no, this is the thing, we had to do it, we have to do it. Now the only thing which pinches me is still that in the name of abortion, now sex selective abortion has started, which is very bad. Yeah. Now, for the female feticide, after the sex selective ultrasound, okay, when they know that this is the female child and they do the abortion, which is very much illegal. This is the criminal act. So now my aim is to stop that one.
Doctor, it's amazing that, you know, you are sharing stories about impact, real change in society. And when you speak about this lady who had this unsafe abortion, which is why she had this septic in her stomach, and you had to operate on her. What happens when, let's say, you as a doctor, you know that somebody has gone in for an unsafe abortion, and then you are treating this patient, and for some reason, you cannot do what you want to do, you cannot play that magic. Do you then feel that struggle? Do you feel that pain? Do you feel you failed your responsibility? Because people come to you with so much hope and so much of, you know, Dr. Bhola Rijal ka gaye pachi sabai theek huncha. That faith is there. I've heard this so many times. They're like, no, just go to Dr. Rijal, it's fine, you'll be okay. That sort of, does that pressurize you?
Shall I tell you one thing? When I did all those risky jobs, when I gave that statement, that time I was Dr. Bhola. Nobody knew me. I was very fresh. The only determination in my mind made me so much determined that I must do this. Otherwise, like other people, I should have also stopped my process and be Bhola only. Now the situation is changed. Now I have many options, many institutions where if I have no place in one institution, I can take those dying mothers in other institutions and can help them. There are options now, and this is the achievement of the private institutions. This is the private sectors. There are many private sectors now who are better than any other government and non-governmental institutions. I appreciate governmental institution also, because in Manmohan Cardiac, in Gangalal, they are really giving very good service, like international standard service. Yeah, but still I hope that other institutions also, government institutions, they should come up very nicely. Last time I was talking for Prasuti Griha, maternity hospital, where I worked for 1 year during my early days of gynae ops. That time I never forget. So I told them that if I can be one of the tools to improve these institutions, I am ready to sacrifice myself, because for the mankind, I travel so many areas of the country. Like last time with our UK team, Dr. Kapil and other people, we went to Mugu for 6 days. Dr. Sunil, Dr. Mudbari, everybody, Dr. Prakash, yeah, Dr. Rajesh, and we gave service to almost 10,000 people. And every 2 years, sometimes we go to Dhankota, sometimes we go to Kavre and this Gulmi, and because I feel pleasure to give service to those people who are really deprived of the real health service.
Doctor, what do you feel? What do you feel in your heart when you see somebody who's deprived of health service? What do you feel?
You can see my eyes, yep, and guess what do I feel, because I am meant for not myself, not for those people who have money. I am meant for those people who have no money and no child.
And you have this, like, people think that you're doing miracles. You call it science. We call it miracles because we don't understand the science behind that. Doctor, that sense of responsibility that you have, has that weighed you down or has that given you more confidence?
It is both. Yeah, because sometimes I feel this is my duty. Sometimes I feel that this is my option. Yeah, because when I see any mother either with any disease or with no child, I compare both of them.
Okay.
See, the reason why I compare, because I find the mother with no child is having more pain and more tragic status in the society than anybody who has some other disease, because that disease is treatable and they think that can be treated. But this mother, they say, you know, in Nepali one word, that it is Bhagavan ko sarap.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And they kehi garna sakindaina bhanne the saying. For the last 30 years I have been trying, and now I think I am 50% successful to change that version, and people from remote areas of the country, Mugu, Kalikot, Darchula, Baitadi, Bajang, they are coming to Kathmandu for the treatment. They think now, no, this is not Bhagavan ko sharap. This is something which can be treated. That's why we have to. So they are getting benefited. They are with the child. So many people. One lady, 17 years, with the history of marriage for 17 years, had one child in Darchula, and she was, I call her Devi, because she is one of the person who really made everybody, other people convinced that no, you should not stay like this. You go and you will get benefited. And this is the starting day. We started our in vitro fertilization also a long time back, almost 17, 18 years back, where world had already Louis Brown, 25 years old.
Then it started here in Nepal.
Then we started.
You were the pioneer.
Yeah.
Right.
And our first baby, he is now 16 years old. He is Om Mani Tamang. I delivered, our team delivered him in Om Hospital, and now during his chavar, I was invited. I was so moved to attend to that program.
Right, doctor. You know, when I hear your story, I don't just hear the story of a doctor. It's not medical anymore. To me, you are also equally somebody who's worked hard to remove the social stigmas in society. You know, you seem like an activist, somebody who's doing things. You're not an activist who just speaks, you're an activist who's doing things with his hands, creating miracles every day. How does this adulation feel, where people look at you and look up to you like Bhagwan ko avatar? Because I've heard these things about you, not once. How does that make you feel? Is that pressure or is that pride? Humble pride.
I don't agree with the statement that Bhagwan ko avatar.
Have you heard this, doctor? Has anyone ever said this to you?
I've heard it, some people, yeah, that they say Santaneshwar Mahadev. They have written in the paper also. But I reserve that part in one side.
Right.
But because nobody can take that place.
Right.
Yeah. But if anyone tries to be near to that, or tries to help the agony of the parents who have no child, or who is suffering from cancer, or who is suffering from disease which is not treatable in those remote areas. Can you imagine that I was operated 2 years back in Turkey for my spine surgery. I move with one stick, but still people, they have faith and they are coming from so far, where they are rejected by many other people that this is untreatable, we cannot handle this case. Then they come to us. So their faith on me, that is the reason maybe that is coming up. And I don't know when I can take rest, I don't know. Because they will not allow me.
People will not allow you to take rest, doctor. I'm sorry, this is something.
I don't think when they will allow me, whether I can really retire from this or not, I don't know.
I'm confident that you have to make your peace with the fact that you are not getting to retire anytime soon. Because there are people I know thronging to meet you. I understand the kind of pressure you have. We've been trying to get on a phone call and you've always been so occupied because of the contribution that you're making day in and day out. And doctor, I'm sorry, but I don't think it's going to happen. You have to plan for like many years.
Mannsi, I'm sorry if you have not reached me
Right.
in telephone,
Right.
in mobile,
Right.
because maybe sometimes I was busy.
Absolutely, doctor,
But
and that's a great thing that you're doing this, because I see somebody who's been doing this for so many years and yet that passion hasn't changed. You were initially thinking about, let's legalize abortion. Now you're telling me abortion up to 20 weeks only. Then you're talking about gender-based abortion. You are moving on one step at a time up this ladder. And every time I see you going greater and greater, thinking about the next big thing to do. So in my head, there is no way that anyone like you can ever retire, because we want better things, smarter things, nicer things, more impactful things coming out of you all the time. And that is the beauty of what you do. And people have so much faith in you, I don't think they're going to leave you like that. You will have to be working and working.
You know, we have two friends, very good friends from
Right.
India,
Right.
Agra, Dr. Jaideep Malhotra and Narendra Malhotra,
Okay.
and Dr. Sudeep. They helped us outright during our difficult days to establish IVF center in Nepal.
Right.
So I would like to thank them very much from core of my heart. Right. And at the same time, what I say that the new things are coming up, because when I started my infertility service, I never thought that I will go for IVF, in vitro fertilization in Nepal. But when I visited Dr. B.N. Chakrabarty's clinic in India, I found more than 50% of people from the eastern part of Nepal. They were Nepalese were 50% in Calcutta, right. B.N. Chakrabarty's clinic. Right. I was there for 7 days for training. Okay. Then I went to Bombay, Tata Memorial. I saw more than 70% of the people, cancer people, in that center. Can you imagine that what the service we are giving in Nepal was almost zero that time. So sometimes I could think of malignancies, cancer. Sometimes I started thinking about our infertility, and this in vitro fertilization was the need of the time. Now, the need of the time is surrogacy in Nepal, because after in vitro fertilization, when they don't have any other child, then what next? Yeah. So I advocate that for the Nepalese, by the Nepalese, in Nepal, if we can start this surrogacy service, our next step or our next advocacy should be towards that one. So I happen to be the president of our society. We have FESON, that Fertility Society of Nepal, and we have 9 members, all senior people, Dr. Uma Srivastav, Sanu, Dr. Gyanendra Karki, Dr. Sabina, Dr. Swasti as a General Secretary, and Dr. Meera, Dr. Rashmi, many people. They are the member of our society, and now there are more than 13 IVF centers in the country. Can you imagine now, because of our initiation, and now the people are getting advantage or getting service from all the institutions. So this is the credit what this society wants to get it. And we want to make all the centers perfect so that people are benefited.
Doctor, I'm just so impressed about the fact that you keep on advancing. You keep on moving from one cause to another. And for me, truly, when I talk to you, you're not just a doctor, not just an activist, you're also a very patriotic person. You are somebody who talks so fondly and so respectfully about the country and about the change that you in your profession want to bring to the country. It's amazing. In a lot of ways, I'm like, oh my God, I wish my son becomes a doctor someday. You get inspired by these stories. Here's my question to you. To all the youngsters who are watching, a lot of people are going to be like, yes, I want to be like Dr. Rijal one day maybe. I want to be a doctor. What does it take to be a great doctor? Your brains, your hands to do the surgeries, or your heart?
Shall I tell you one thing, which is fact of life? I'm not only a doctor. I became doctor later on. Right. I was a writer. I was a singer. I was a music composer. And I made 8 feature films. And one of the film was typical first time in this subcontinent. That was a lyrical film. Mr. Sambhujit Maskota was the music director, and there are 58 only songs. This is the lyrical film, Gauthali. This is also regarding anti-child marriage. And the reason of making this film was to educate the girl child. If they are married at the tender age, they will be destituted for education. Yeah, that was the only theme of that film. So you can imagine. And the first album, Sarangi Ko Tar Tutyo and Sagarmatha Roi Rahecha, was released in 2058 साल. And that was also happened to be the first of its kind. And my son, you know, Kapil, who is in UK, he told me one day that, Daddy, you have written more than 2,000 songs and 300-400 are recorded, but I find even in love song, you have some patriotism in that.
So you put in that little bit of patriotism everywhere you go. It's that subtle undertone of your music.
Then I told him, yes, you are right. Because in my mind, in my brain, all the time, I think of that. I sleep with that, I eat with that, I laugh with that, I cry with that. Then how it can
not be there in your...
So this is true that I feel for the country, and whatever I feel for the country, and I try to implement if it is correct. But the political system, I don't want to comment or I don't want to go inside this, but it's really very much discouraging for any literate persons in the society that they are deprived of the any rights and other things. We are trying to bring the country up, and they are trying only politics, and they are bringing their country down, down, down. So this is the conflict between the society and the politicians. Okay, let's not talk about it. But wherever I go, wherever I meet any people of any type, I feel happy to meet the people from the grassroots. Yeah, because I'm also from the same level.
That's a very profound and hard-hitting thought when you say it like that. It sort of hurts here, and it hurts here as well, because you start thinking. And I want you to now, this is the last thing I want to ask you, in a song, any song of your choosing, because we don't want you to say, because you're a singer, you're a songwriter. In one song, if you could give a message to all the audience members who are watching you, who want to hear from you, what is your message for the future? I want you to do it through a song, Doctor.
One of the favorite songs, which is really sang by many people nowadays, is sang by Satya Sarup Acharya. And this is very, very time pertinent song. मेरो देश डुब्ने लाग्यो किनार लगाइदेऊ सपुत छौ कि कोही माझी बचाइदेऊ अझै ढुकढुकी छ बाँकी मर्न त्यसै नदेऊ मर्न त्यसै नदेऊ.
It's wonderful, Doctor, that you say this, and you speak with so much passion. When I spoke to you, I was prepared to have a conversation about medical things, you know, to talk about medicine, to hear so many difficult biology terms that I probably heard last in school. But when I talked to you, I realized that just like I expected, there are many dimensions to you. And I do see the doctor, I see the passionate doctor who has the power in his hands and the power of his brain and his skill. But I also see this extremely passionate Nepali who wants to do so much, who's looking at the next cause and who's looking at this advancement. He talks about IVF and surrogacy and abortion, and it's amazing because when I talk to you, I see what I consider my hope for the future of this country, Doctor. And for that, I want to thank you, and I want to tell you that not just me, but thousands and thousands of people look up to you as somebody who's truly creating the country with his own hands. Thank you so much, Doctor, for being an inspiration for all of us.
So nice, Mannsi.
Thank you so much.
I could express few of my feelings, and if I have expressed anything which is not suitable or not very palatable to the society, I am sorry, because that is my feeling, what I expressed, and that may be difficult to digest for other people. So, but what I say, that every Nepalese should have in the mind that this is my country and I have to love my country, and I have born in this country and I have to die in this country. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to express few of my feelings. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Doctor. It's been a pleasure to listen to you. It's been a pleasure to hear your wonderful ideas. It's been a pleasure to hear your dreams for the country as well. And I think that is the most important thing. And on that thought, I want to leave the audience members today with that wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. This entire conversation with Dr. Rijal really was unexpected in a lot of ways. While I knew that he has the heart of a patriot, and while I knew that he is extremely vocal about rights and about activism, and he continuously upgrades what he fights for, what he believes in, I was extremely delighted to hear his views for the future of Nepal. When I spoke to him, and he spoke with so much of love and so much of adoration for the country he is born into, the country that he serves so proudly, I couldn't help but notice the glimmer in his eyes every time he spoke about what he hopes to achieve next as a social activist. To be a social activist, he proves to me you don't have to be running slogans on the streets. You could be an activist, you could be a true patriot, a true contributor to a country by doing your job with utmost sincerity, love, respect and devotion. He has not only changed the way we as a country look at things like abortion, we as a country accept things like IVF, he has also given hope to so many thousands of people around the country. For that and for so much more, I'd like to thank Dr. Bhola Rijal for being the icon he is. And I hope that so many audience members are inspired by his words and more importantly by his actions. On that note, I hope to see you next week with another fabulous guest sharing their stories of struggles. Do watch.